We all know that life as a man is hard, but what if you were making life way harder than it needs to be? Maybe you're following a set of rules that worked in your parents' generation. They even worked 10 years ago, but now the game has changed. And if you fail to adapt to the modern world, you're simply shooting yourself in the foot. As Amor Towles wrote in A Gentleman in Moscow, it is the nature of times to change, and it is the business of gentlemen to change with them. Maybe it feels like things were easier in the 1950s, in the 1980s as a man, but every single generation has a unique set of challenges and difficulties, and a unique set of opportunities. So in this video, I'm going to help you not only navigate the difficulties of being a modern man, but also open your eyes to the wonderful opportunities that we have. And I'm going to be discussing 4 different areas of life: love and romance, work and jobs, leisure and pastimes, and even wealth and prosperity. Many men today romanticize the past. The days of the 1950s when you would marry your high school sweetheart, move into an affordable house, have a bunch of children, and live happily ever after. And without a doubt, meeting and finding a partner for the long term has definitely become more difficult. And you can see that with the statistics. In the 1950s, the average age for a man to get married was 22, and he would typically marry either his first or his second girlfriend. Whereas now, men aren't getting married until an average age of 30, and women are getting married at an older age too. It used to be that you would be introduced or meet through friends of friends, a girl from your church group, from your small town, maybe even from your high school, and your time in the dating pool was done. You didn't have to go through the difficulty of first dates, rejection, dating apps, all of this online stuff that we have right now. That simply didn't exist. It seems like romance and finding your wife just happened to you back in the day. You didn't really have to make any intentional effort to put yourself out there. And we have the situation where right now, so many men expect or believe that love should just happen. It should just come naturally. They shouldn't have to put themselves out there. They're actually shooting themselves in the foot because the game has changed. People used to meet in offices. Now an office romance is an HR nightmare, and it could even jeopardize your career. So instead, what we have to do is be way more intentional about finding a partner, about presenting ourselves to romantic prospects, and embracing the modern dating market. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fans of dating apps, and I'm not the biggest fan of them too, but they are just a tool. They're just another weapon in your arsenal. Now, if you are a successful man, if you keep yourself in good shape, if you have good communication skills, if you earn even just a decent amount of money, then you have way more options than you ever did before. Now, I know that having too many options can sometimes be a problem. You enter that paradox of choice. But previously, if you lived in a small town, your dating pool might have been limited to 4 to 5 women. Whereas now you can open up an app or even use social media like Instagram to access literally beautiful women all over the world. And one thing I do like about dating apps or using social media for dating is if you know what you're looking for, if you know what values, if you know what physical type you are interested in, it's so much easier to filter for that and find them online than it would be in real life. So personally, I take a blended approach where I will do some online dating, mostly using Instagram, and I'll also do lots of meeting women in person and going on spontaneous dates and things like that. There's also a ton of great dating advice out there. Before, guys were completely clueless as to what women wanted, how they needed to be communicated with, how to organize a date. Now the complete playbook is available to you. I mean, even personally, I must have made dozens and dozens of videos talking men through first date situations, through approaching women, being more attractive, etc. And even women are making these types of videos telling you exactly what they want. It's like a fish telling you how to catch it. Now let's move on to talking about work. In our parents' generation, or in the 1950s and 60s, men would have a job for life. They could enter a company at the age of 16 and still be working there when they retired at 65. In fact, that's pretty much what my dad did. You didn't need a college education, even for many white-collar jobs. And if you did need a college education, then it was so much cheaper in relative terms back then than it is now. Today, our generation faces a lot of job insecurity. I remember when I had a 9-to-5, there was always people being laid off, and you always had that fear that you might be next. And especially with AI now, that is replacing a huge wave of information knowledge-based white-collar jobs. I think we all thought that technology would replace the manual jobs first, but actually it's replacing the information, the creative, the knowledgeable jobs instead. At the same time, the cost of going to college has just become astronomical, and the level of education required even for entry-level jobs has frankly become ridiculous. At the same time, it's never been easier to become an entrepreneur. It's never been easier to start a business, to educate yourself. You don't need to go to college. You can learn these skills and put them into practice, even when you're still a teenager. And we're fortunate enough to have some of the best business people in the world here on YouTube for free, teaching you loads of different business models that can work for you. Personally, I believe the absolute best business that any person can start today is a personal brand, and it's what's taken me from the shackles and the insecurity of a 9-to-5 to a life of not only financial success, but also freedom to do what I want with my time and to express myself however I want. And whatever interest you have, whatever type of content you want to make, the opportunity is out there. Just look around. Every single person's head is buried in their phone. That's where the attention is today, and therefore that's where the opportunity and where the money is. Now personally, I didn't even get into social media to make money, but then I very quickly realized the massive economic opportunity. And because it's helped me so much, and because I'm so passionate about this unique opportunity for our time, I'm looking to help more people achieve the similar kind of success that I have. Whether you want to build a personal brand like I've done, use social media to further your career, to further your network, or perhaps to promote a business or a service that you have. So if you are interested in learning how to do more with social media, there's a video down in the description I highly recommend you check out. And please do take advantage of free educational resources just like that one, because it's never been easier to learn high-paying skills, whether you want to learn sales, whether you want to learn coding, whether you want to learn how to use AI to get ahead. That information is all out there. The game has also certainly changed with the way that men spend their leisure time, their free time. Entertainment has changed beyond recognition. One of the biggest challenges for men today is that our dopamine systems are constantly being hijacked. They're being hijacked by social media, by the news, by Netflix, by music everywhere, all of the time. And for the first time in human history, we now have to defend ourselves against this constant attack. We have to be very disciplined with how we spend our free time, because back in the day, you would simply be bored if you weren't doing something productive. Men would spend their time out in nature, fishing, hunting, playing golf. They'd be sitting on the porch, reading a book, just at peace with their own thoughts, spending quality time with friends and family. That was just part of the natural rhythm of life. This era, the 2020s, is like a graveyard for hobbies and pastimes. People don't do anything productive and meaningful with their free time anymore. And it's not necessarily their fault. They are simply getting stuck into cycles of scrolling, of binge watching, of video games. Rather than actually go out and learn a martial art or go to a shooting range, men would rather sit in their basement in the dark and virtually do it using a controller or a keypad. Today, the path of least resistance will lead you down a very dark road. There are companies out there that want your attention. They want you to consume stupid content. They want you to consume adult movies. They want you to consume video games. They want to keep you trapped in this virtual simulation of reality. And no wonder so many men today are feeling hollow and empty. But men today actually have access to a greater variety of hobbies and skills than ever before. In the 1950s, if you wanted to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you wanted to learn how to play electric guitar, if you wanted to learn how to paint, there would have been very, very limited opportunities to learn those skills unless you lived in a really big city. But now every town has a jiu-jitsu gym, every town has a guitar teacher, every town has a Spanish class, every town has a yoga studio, a great gym, whatever you are interested in, it's there and it's available. And if it's not available in person, then you can learn it online. And I believe it's time that you reclaimed your attention, reclaimed your ability to concentrate and be at one with your thoughts. And there are two things I would recommend for this. The first one is to not use your phone during the first hour of the day as a bare minimum. And the second one is to go for a walk every single day without your phone. And throughout history, genius minds have always used walking as a kind of creative meditation and a form of exercise. We live in the age of consumption. So if you want to get ahead, if you want to play a different game, it's time to move from being a consumer to a creator. And that doesn't just mean social media creator. You can also paint, you can make music, you can build things with your hands. Use your free time constructively, just like men did of yesteryear, and you are going to get miles ahead of the competition. And it might sound hypocritical that I'm talking about the power of social media and how great it is as a job, but remember that it's a tool kind of like fire. You can be burned by social media, or you can use it to cook food and feed yourself. And finally, let's talk about the creation of wealth, because this feels like a big pain point for many modern men. They look at their parents' generation with their house that soared in value, their 401k, their pensions, and for the first time in history, men are worried that they won't be able to achieve the same level of success as their parents did. And yes, some things have definitely got worse. Housing is far more expensive compared to the median salary. The amount of people in tens and thousands of dollars in student debt is absolutely outrageous. But let's not get caught up sobbing over things that we simply can't change. You aren't in control of the housing market, and no matter how angry you get about it, college tuition isn't getting cheaper anytime soon. But fortunately, we do have several unique opportunities to create and build wealth that other generations simply didn't have. The first one is arbitrage. Previously, your job and your salary was closely tied to a location. If you wanted to earn the big money, you had to go to New York City, you had to go to LA, you had to go to Chicago. And these cities are expensive to live in, right? And often it will actually offset the additional salary that you'll be making. Today, we have so many jobs that are either fully remote or at least mostly remote. So you have the opportunity to create some arbitrage here. Earn an American salary, earn a big New York City salary, but go and live somewhere where the cost of living is significantly lower. If you really want to take advantage of this, go live in Asia, go live in South America. Even living in Europe is going to save you a lot of money compared to staying in New York or San Francisco. Now, I know not everybody that has a 9-to-5 job will be able to do this. But remember, if you become an entrepreneur, if you become a content creator, if you sell a product online, then you are totally free. You earn your money in dollars and you spend in pesos or euros or whatever it may be. So once you've saved all of this money, then what do you do with it? Well, another great opportunity that we have today is we have access to such a greater range of investment opportunities compared to what people had access to back in the day. Previously, you'd have to go to a wealth manager at a bank and you would invest in whatever funds or stocks they recommended to you. But now you can educate yourself on financial markets. You can invest into an index fund like the S&P 500 literally on your phone in about 1 second. And young men today are so much more aware of things such as compounding, investing, crypto, stock markets. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but the ability to educate yourself and make an informed decision is so incredibly available today compared to what it used to be. Yes, our parents' generation may have had pensions. Yes, we might not be able to rely on social security, but we have the chance now to really take hold of our financial future, to make decisions for ourselves. And as we've seen, the opportunities to get exponential returns on our investments in the modern age are unlike anything ever seen in history. So I hope this video has made you realize that yes, things are difficult right now, and it's easy to look back at the past and think everything was so much easier back in the day. But it's simply human nature to think that we have it difficult, that we are living through a hard time. One thing that ties all of these areas together is definitely the internet, right? Cyberspace, as it used to be known. The internet is certainly the biggest opportunity, but also the biggest threat and risk to the human race right now. It's the biggest threat and risk to your individual freedom, to your happiness, to your fulfillment. But it's also the key that could unlock every single door for you. I used to get so caught up thinking that it would be so much easier if only I'd been born in the 1980s, if only I'd been born in the 1960s, I would have really thrived in that world. But that was simply my own ignorance and my own coping mechanism for my own excuses. Instead, once I realized that actually it's great to be alive right now. We have so many opportunities. There are so many things that we can do so easily that our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation could never have even dreamed possible. That's when my life really began to change and turn into a positive direction. And this means you can't necessarily follow the advice of your parents, of your college professors, of older people at work, because when they were your age, the game was completely different. Now the game has changed. It's time to understand the rules. It's time to understand the lay of the land and make your mark on this generation in a way that works for you. We've never had more freedom, but it's never been easier to get trapped and enslaved. We've never been more connected, but it's never been easier to be isolated and lonely. We've never had more education and entertainment, but so many men find themselves empty, bored, and unfulfilled. Please remember that your apathy, your excuses, your self-pity, they serve nobody, and they certainly don't serve you. You have no power to change the things that are difficult about this era, but you do have the power to seize the opportunities. So I hope that you go ahead and do that right after watching this video.